All right, Brandon, pumped to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was checking out a few months ago, and your branding is so on point. So yeah, wanted to have you on for a while.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Amazing. What
Mhm.
what branding is it that you like?
Probably my David AI, my David website and company, uh, modeled after this dude, the David.
No, no, no,
Um,
no. I'm curious why Jack likes it. Like,
oh,
what is it about the brand? What spoke to him? That's what I'm curious about. And I'm
It's
curious
beautiful.
based on his answer, Brandon, if that was your intention. We're gonna do a little branding
yeah,
test.
yeah, sure.
I mean, I really like personified branding. So when we had the Parker guys on, how they've personified Parker as like a person on your team. I like how David can kind of do that too, but separate from that, it's beautiful. Like all of the branding material is just it feels inspirational, like revolutionary. So yeah, I like that part of it.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, and we try to have it be like a living, breathing thing where the David can evolve over time as far as our branding goes, or in regards to our branding. So we will probably, the core brand will stay the same, but we'll probably shift it in like a month or two to be more Renaissance-esque, let's say, for a while. And then maybe a little more traditional for a few months after that. I want to do something different. I don't want to be like a technical sounding company. And that's why I chose one of the reasons why I wanted the name Da- David. Also, I like the personal aspect of it. Like, oh yeah, hey, go talk to the guys at David or go talk to David. Like, I want that to be the way people talk about us, like behind our backs. And then it was also sort of after the David, which is the coolest sculpture I've ever seen, and just how perfect and amazing that is, and how beautiful it is, and how it was out of one big old piece of stone and then carved perfectly, and just the meaning and symbolism behind that, and then also David versus Goliath and like helping the underdogs win. So a lot kind of went into the name. Yeah, but thank you.
That's amazing.
We were just talking about before you jumped on how David, first took its shape in the marketing space, right? Being I don't know, somewhat of a marketing tool, and then quickly evolved into a service offering um, as the opportunity became a little bit bigger and more well known. And yeah, I feel like this is something we talked about a lot. We talked about it with Taylor, how software enabled agencies, Sean's, are becoming the next big thing. And you guys are just doing it. You just hit the ground running.
Yeah, yeah, it's super fun. Yeah, I started David about a year ago, and it was the thesis then. Everything I said in regards to the branding and all that was true then, but our purpose was to do basically like AI powered marketing. That was what we were doing. And we started building out like an AI OS that we were running things with behind the scenes. And we started getting clients and more clients. And it wasn't just like ecom, it was all over the board as far as our clientele goes. But then we started to basically do AI transformation to ourselves in the creation of this. And then we started to get a few, just because I started pitching them, we started to get a few AI transformation clients, some in the e-com space, some not, and just became enamored with that service, and the ability to provide amazing solutions for companies of all types and sizes and use cases. And so that's what we basically pivoted to in January. And I actually raised some money in the fall, but I haven't really ever like spoken about that, but it wasn't a big round. And although we haven't touched the money that we raised yet, so that's good, I guess, in a way. Although maybe you guys give me some tips. I'm not that good at spending investors' money. So I like to have it like as a cushion. Um, and I'm still deciding how to fully utilize it or not. But yeah, so in January we pivoted to go sort of all in on AI transformation as far as the leading service, um, with the software, if you want to call it that, being secondary that we're building for our clients. And it's been amazing.
You said something about like started in ecom and then quickly branched out to other verticals. How much of that was intentional versus just demand pulled you into other verticals? And how would you describe right now the difference between the behaviors amongst the different verticals that you serve?
Yeah, good question. It was a little intentional, but it wasn't that intentional. The little intentionalness of it was because of the following. I'm active on Twitter, X, as you guys are. And that community of ecom people is very cutting edge with what they're willing to do and try, but a lot of them want to do it themselves. Like, let's take Cody from Jones Road. I think he's like a good, example of this. Like, he super hard worker, killer, amazing leader with that company, and is always willing to just dive in himself or internally and like build the solutions that he knows he wants and needs for Jones Road Beauty. Okay. Since that's my network as well in the ecom space, that was, I don't know, not intimidating, but it was like, okay, I need to try to convince the Codys of the world to just hire me, or I can go after other industries who do not act like that at all, and it'll be way easier to get them on board with AI transformation and not them wanting to do it internally. So yeah, it was a little intentional, but I mean, ecom is still like my true love. So I want to always work there. I think it's the coolest. I think it's the sexiest. I think it's the most fun. But it's fun still working with I'll say this because they're a client, like a $70 million a year masonry company out of Texas that just does masonry construction projects, and taking the software that they use for permitting and bidding and project management and time tracking, taking those four completely different softwares that they use. They pay like $48K a month in total for those four, combining them into one with AI. Piece of cake. And now charging them way, way less than $48K post launch of the build. So we do a lot of stuff like that.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And it's exactly what you want it to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So instead of having 4 different things that someone has to log into 4 different times and make sure they talk to each other and copy paste the data one to another, because it's an old school industry, we're just like, hey, well, we'll do it. Like, and instead of 48K, it's going to be 9K. And they're like, well, can you actually do it? And I was like, yeah, we can do it. And they're like, I don't think you can do it. And I was like, yeah, no, we can definitely do it. It's going to take us, and this is kind of the fun and interesting and hard and funny part of AI transformation. They're like, how long will it take you? And I was like, 6 months. 9K a month for 6 months. And they're like, you can get it done in 6 months? When in my head, I knew that we could probably do it in 3 or 2, but that would sound too fast. So I had to draw it out for them to believe that we could even do it, which is a weird thing to do and say. So, but yeah, anyway, it's done and it's awesome. Yeah. So now their bill went from 48 to 9 and they're super happy.
Yeah, makes a bunch of sense.
Yeah.
One thing I wonder is, I don't know. I mean, by the way, have we texted Cody, or do you want me to ping Cody to come on?
We need
Jack?
to message him. No, I haven't messaged him.
You haven't messaged him? Okay. Do you want to message? It doesn't matter. One of us should message
You're
him.
not
I don't know Cody, but
Oh, you
I
don't know him? Oh,
Yeah,
I know him too. Okay, I'll message him.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah. So one thing that I worry about though is, I think like, for Brandon, my question to you is, do you really think you can extrapolate from Cody to everyone else? I don't think you can.
No. I mean, he's like the
okay.
ultimate hyperbolic example of what I was trying to explain.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the idea is everyone wants a Cody, but no one has a Cody.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would bet he's expensive.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people in ecom want to be like Cody and the others that exist. But, the other like intimidating thing about ecom is all the companies that we need to build with and integrate with when we build custom solutions for e-commerce brands. All of those companies are already doing their versions of what we do to their own products, whether it's Affirma or Shopify or Meta, and then integrating with each other. So it's like, well, I have to go against all that, or I have to go against 4 different softwares in masonry that I've never heard of, that no one has ever heard of, who don't even know about AI, probably. Maybe they know about it, but the software companies, but the masonry guys don't. And I can just mop the floor with them. So I want to do more with ecom, and we are doing some stuff with ecom brands. But sort of the thing behind, in the back of my mind is like, well, Shopify just came out with X, Y, and Z. That's amazing. Like, how long until Shopify itself has the thing that I'm trying to make for our client?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the answer to that is?
Well, I think it's probably not long, to be honest.
Really?
I don't know. They're moving really fast.
Are they?
Well, you would know better than me, but they're moving pretty fast for how big they are. Yeah.
I have like enormous respect for Shopify. So I don't mean this to be negative on Shopify
Yeah.
at all. Like I think I mean, it is one of the greatest companies ever built. And like, I think Toby is like one of the greatest founders ever. I don't know how in an organization that big, you can keep everyone aligned on doing the new innovation that's necessary without somehow having a version of innovator's dilemma creep up. And innovator's dilemma is pernicious, man. Like I experienced this firsthand. And so I'm not going to comment on Shopify because I have no idea what's happening internally there, but I'll comment on my experience at LiveRamp, like the company I used to work at prior to starting this company. So I built 3 new business units inside of LiveRamp when I was there. So long story short, because the details don't matter, in 2019, when LiveRamp became independently public, my job there was build new businesses inside of LiveRamp. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the whole entrepreneur thing. Like I'm going to build a new thing inside of an
Hmm.
existing big thing. And it was like a $4 billion market cap company or something like that at the time. Like not Shopify size, but like good, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I would say
and
great,
so
but yeah.
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 No, dude, if I had a multi-billion-dollar outcome, man, I would color me happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was building business units inside of LiveRamp, and the total amount of pain for like trying to do something new when all of the incentives for everyone in the company are trying to maintain and grow the existing thing is like the amount of pain is so high that you simply would not imagine. I'll share one story because at this point it's so long ago and like who cares? But
Hmm.
I was building a healthcare business inside of LiveRamp, and the person who was responsible for the CRO, basically the person who was responsible for like sales and revenue for the main company, was like, "Hey, we should not do direct sales of the healthcare product. So Rishabh, you should not hire salespeople. Instead, what we should do is we should sell off the rights to sell this product to a third party, and they will pay us $4 million a year for that right, because you've only booked 400K of revenue so far, and I have no confidence that you're going to be able to grow it. And so we should just like ship this thing and then take the $4 million of revenue a year from this other company."
Hmm.
So I sat in a meeting with him, me, the chief product officer of the company, and the CEO. So it was like 4 people at a tiny table because all of our conference rooms were undergoing construction, just to give you like a picture of the scenery. And the CEO literally says to me at some point in the convo, to make a long story short, "Rishabh, are you willing to put your job on the line for making this decision of doing direct sales? Meaning, I will fire you in 6 months if this does not work." And I said, "Sure." But by the way, that's the total amount of like pain that you need to be willing to go through is like
Right.
every other senior leader is telling you that you're not going to be able to do it. The CEO is telling you, "I'm going to fire you if it doesn't work." So there's no like this whole like reward risk. This is the opposite of that, right? Like, what do people say about how to create entrepreneurial cultures? They say like you have to celebrate the failures. I'm being
Hmm.
told to my face that I'm going to get fired for failing, right? Like that's what reality looks like. So again, I don't know
Yeah.
what's happening inside of Shopify, but I just don't know, man. Like having been inside of a large company trying to do something new and innovative, it is so It's like it's more painful than you could ever imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a good response though? Is that kind of good that they were like, "Hey, we're going to fire you if this goes wrong"? I mean, don't get me wrong. If you were a different person, if you weren't a founder, that would have probably you'd be like, "Okay, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just going to do my job, and I'm not going to push for this." But like, is it good for you to confront like the actual risk, right? Which would be that if this thing doesn't work, it's on you.
Oh, I mean, I had no problem with it, but there's no commensurate upside. So
Right.
okay, this is now not. I mean, this is not the story we want to talk about. I wanna talk more about David and building David, but I'll wrap it quickly if you're curious.
Oh, it's super
The way
interesting.
the way the story ends is it ends up working. Okay, the healthcare business ends up working. It is now 15% of the company's overall revenue. So out of like 900 million in run rate, 5 years later, it is now between 80 and 120 million dollars of revenue, right? So this thing took off like a rocket ship. But the amount that I was bonused that year once it started taking off was so small that I quit immediately and started from up.
That's
That's the
crazy.
long story short. But anyways, my point is like in building David, like worrying about what other people are going to do,
Yeah.
this is just one man's opinion, so take it or
Yeah.
leave it, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know that I would worry that much, especially about big companies, because it's
Yeah.
just, there's so much stuff happening. Again, I'm not speaking about Shopify. I have a lot of respect for Shopify, but it's impossible to know what the internal politics are, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And if I came across as like worrying, I wouldn't say so much that we're worried per se. It's more like what do we want to do long term? What types of clients do we want to have long term? And ecom is still in that bucket. Um, and what do we want to be building? And how do we want our daily lives to be? And that's what we're trying to optimize for with everything that we're doing on the data
Yeah.
sides.
I
So
guess
we're
I'm
not.
curious. Oh, I just pulling on that thread. Like, Tomer, I think, is the one who sort of famously was vocal about ecom being a small town. Is that part of what's going through your head? It's like, hey, if I can just serve all small and medium businesses, all of a sudden I have no limit. And like, I don't need to worry about the complexities that come with competing for essentially like the 10,000 brands that most providers compete for in the e-commerce world.
Yeah, good. That's a good question. Part of it is the TAM. Although if you make it, I mean, if we became the go-to just for ecom, that would be an amazing life and an amazing exit, obviously. But I think the TAM for AI transformation services and implementation in general, that TAM is like infinite. It's every company that's making like $1 million a year or more. So I didn't want to limit ourselves. Plus, I think that ecom is the hardest industry. So I thought, well, let's still do some of what we're doing in ecom, but that's kind of like how I came up. It would be nice, and this is not like trying to take the easy road, but maybe it is. Who cares? It would be nice to like work with masonry companies or law firms who don't even want to talk to me because they bill by the hour themselves and just want the thing to be built for them and delivered and done and working, right? Like our law firm clients don't even want to talk to us, but they'll still pay and pay, decently well. Um, or or HVAC companies or roofers or random SaaS and software companies that are a little more old school or whatever. So it was like, well, if we can do what we do on hard mode, aka ecom, let's do medium and easy mode too. But that's also because I think in the past, you had to niche down. In my opinion, with AI, you don't have to niche down at all. Unless you're building a software, which we're not. We don't have to niche down because AI is that good. And, as people say, today's the worst it's ever going to be. So it's going to keep getting better, which means we're going to keep getting better, which means we can keep providing better solutions for companies of all types. It's not hard to figure out what a masonry needs or a personal injury law firm versus an estate planning law firm versus an immigration law firm versus a construction uh, software company or whatever. That's how I look at it, at least.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, who cares what I think? But I think that makes a bunch of sense. Yeah. I think it's like really hard to be working on only one industry because you set yourself up for risk that is so. There's good and bad about setting yourself up with a risk like this, but you set yourself up for a lot of risk. Like last year, can you imagine if AI and the tariffs happened a year apart instead of at the same time? Like you
Yeah.
would have just been getting like it would have been like it would have just been
Yeah.
getting socked in the face over and over again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And again, I'm not afraid, but on the risk note, it's like, okay, who are the main companies that touch ecom? Well, it's Google, Meta, Shopify. Let's just say for fun, in not that order, but those are the main three. Okay. Well, who are the main companies adopting AI and pushing AI forward in the whole world? Well, it's Google, Meta, Shopify, and then like Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, SpaceX, right? Like those are the ones who are doing the most in the entire world. So 3 of the like 8 in the whole world who are doing the most with and for AI are the 3 that ecom depends on the most.
yeah,
So the risk would be, does Google and or Meta and or Shopify unlock something with like recursive self-improvement AI where the website now doesn't even need this is like worst case doomsday scenario. They don't need an agency. They don't need a services firm. They don't need software, because you upload your product to Shopify. It automatically fully launches ads based off of that onto Meta and Google. UGC, partner ads, image ads, video ads, everything, boom. And all you had to do was click, do you want ads or no? And what's your daily budget?
Oh, amazing.
I think that'll happen, but here's the nuance. There's the first part of what you said, I don't agree with. The rest of what you said, I think will for sure happen. And I actually think it's good news for agencies and people like you or firms like yours. The part I don't agree with is you don't have to do anything. Meta or Google will just do the whole thing. That part I don't agree with.
Yeah.
There will be AI where you just say what the strategy is, what you want to accomplish, and what is the way that, and then it'll automatically do everything at the front end. That will for sure happen.
Yeah.
And so that distinction is really important, because that distinction is like, okay, wait a second. If Google and Facebook are not doing it, then who's doing it? And it's the same story that has always been true. It's the brand and its trusted partner ecosystem will want to have control over those pipelines, because they'll want to dictate the strategy and what makes the brand unique. So I'll give you a very particular example. I think it is for sure going to be the case that there will be a point at which, like, a e-commerce brand that you are working with will say to you, hey, you're able to build all of this AI software and systems really well. I want you, like, look at our creative pipeline, and I want you to automate that. But I want you to make sure it is true to our strategy. So, like, we are heavy on UGC creators who are small from the Midwest, because that's who our audience is, and we need everybody in our community to feel relatable. And it's just like this, like, huge amount of strategy and brand overlay that is critical to how the company wants to create long-term differentiation and sticking power. And so then you will build that system for them that respects that they can trust and control. And the reason they will not want just an arbitrary Shopify Meta connection to do that is the same reason that we have always had to take that away from the main systems, is because they only know what is happening in the context of their ecosystem. Meaning, Meta and Shopify don't know that there are all these people who are posting on all these other channels and in other locations, and who are talking to their friends in real life. Where the heck are they going to get that signal?
Yeah.
Like it's just, there's just like actually literal problems, right? Or like maybe people are posting on YouTube, and it's like, okay, will YouTube share that data with Meta? I sure don't think so.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that thesis for sure. And I also, I think it will be a while before, even if and when the systems are good enough to do what I said, that the VP of marketing or the head of performance ads at Monster is going to be fine just clicking go and just like sitting back and like hoping that Shopify does it all correctly in that scenario that I painted, right? I think they're going to still want to work with an agency that, to your explanation, can oversee everything still being done properly, and for the human in us to have someone to blame if it doesn't go properly. Because if they push the button,
this is
then
exactly
they're the
right.
blame. Yeah. If I'm the head of performance ads at Monster and I push the button and the ads suck, well, they're not going to fire Shopify. They're going to fire me or whatever, right? I'm on the hook for that. But if the agency that I hired did all this stuff and we're not getting the results, well, I can say, yeah, I thought the agency was good, but I guess they're not that good. So I'll go find a better agency.
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And I think that we'll land there in, what do you think, Jack? 3 years? My bet's 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. If I look at like companies like Icon, making AI UGC just a little bit too early, right? Depending on the models for like the top end of what they can do, and then the reliability, like the consistency of meeting the customer's expectation. Because there's always going to be some rate of like success and some rate of failure. And they were just a little bit too early, and all of these new models are so good and proprietary, just like you said, Brandon, straight out of Google. It's straight out of, I don't know, C-Dance or whatever it is. And eventually, more and more intuitive, integrated, and some of the stuff that I see coming out of all these platforms is just so incredible, and it's miles beyond what we were seeing out of Icon.
Yeah.
One of the things I think you're asking the right question. It's not like I'm doing the easy thing. I'm doing the easy way out by serving a masonry company or a law firm. You're saying, who can I actually help? Because like Cody doesn't want my help. Cody can do it. And like,
Mhm.
the marketing world has always been, filled, and I should say, um, the entrepreneurial world has always been filled with, self-made, self-starters, self-learning people who are looking for arbitrage, right? They're looking for that favorable gap between the input and output that swings in their direction. And these people are scrappy. They're so scrappy. I always hear about, like, every now and then, I think it was the other day, I just heard about like some hemp company that has like 3 employees and is doing like 11 million a month. I'm like, this is incredible. It's, and that,
Yeah.
that they're using a lot of AI right now to
Yeah.
amplify their efforts. So I think
Well, and
you're asking the right question.
I don't think I'm being biased here, and everyone has their own strengths and all that kind of stuff. But when I hear you guys talk, or Cody, or like the Connors from Hexclad and Ridge and stuff, or the guys on the Operators podcast, like all of those people I just named are just super, super smart. Like genius. I feel like I could safely say all of them are geniuses. Okay. That's one statement. Next statement. Usually when we go outside of ecom to work with clients, I am not faced with that level of intelligence. Not in a bad way, but like, and I'm not trying to, diss other industries. I just think that, um, I have that book, Range. I can't remember who wrote it. You know what book I'm talking about? Range?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I feel like people in e-commerce exemplify that so much more than other industries, because you have to know marketing and advertising and inventory and supply chain management and brand and creative and people manage. You have to know so much stuff. Whereas in other industries, frankly, I just don't think it's as competitive. So I don't know where I was going with that little monologue, but I was piggybacking off what you were saying, Jack, and how we can work with all businesses, and I want to just find where we can produce the most value the quickest, basically, and get
Yeah.
embedded with these companies for the long haul. Because I'm thinking about this in David AI in two ways. A, how can we do something so quickly that we can be an acquisition target in the next 2 to 3 years, while simultaneously, what is the business model where no one could want to or should want to leave us for the next 20 years? So like 2 and 20 is how I'm thinking about this at the same time. And Rashab, in regards to like Shopify, Meta, Google, 3 year, 4, whatever year away from that, yeah, the agency thing will still exist, but I was thinking 2 getting bought and being around 20 from now. And I'm not as confident being around 20 years from now in ecom as I would be in construction.
That makes a bunch of sense. By the way, I think there's a important insight tying a little bit, Jack, what you're saying and what Brandon's saying. Because Jack, what you're saying is like the most valuable businesses are the ones where you're doing something to help someone who actually needs the help, right? So that's like, and Brandon's point is like, hey, in this other industry, like in ecom, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to help these people. In these other industries, there may not be as many people, and the amount of help that they need is larger in order to like do this particular thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the one thing I do think is true, which Jack, we talked about this in a previous podcast, and Brandon, I'm curious how you would react, is I think that right now there's a set of people who are what I would call in cohort one of being AI enabled, or cohort two. So cohort zero is like I'm in the lab and I'm like literally doing things at the super cutting edge, like I'm Boris Cherney and I'm like saying you should do loop and you should do gold.
Mhm.
And then cohort one is like the tech companies that as soon as it releases, or the Codies, as soon as it releases, they're immediately playing with it and using it and getting value out of it. And then cohort two is like within 3 months, they get there. But then there's people in like cohort 7 and 8 and 9 who are like still using ChatGPT to like do Google searches. And I think that we're in this unique moment in time. And I was talking to a different friend about this on Wednesday, where for the next like 5 years, there's going to be just an enormous amount of value and business to be created simply by having people in cohort 1 and 2 teach people in cohort 7 through 10 how to get to cohort 4 and 5.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
agree.
Like, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Like, so these people are teaching these people how to get here. And then you
Yeah.
just keep doing that for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And the amount of value that will get generated by doing that will be ridiculous. I mean, did you guys see that Microsoft announced
Yeah.
like a forward
2.5
deployed engine?
billion. Yeah.
Yeah. And like
Yeah. That was 2 days
6,000
ago.
engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Literally everybody.
Amazon's was Monday. Theirs Monday, $1 billion. Microsoft yesterday or day before, 2.5 billion. And, but yeah, I agree. And I think,
What did they announce? Sorry, I missed this. I didn't see it.
Basically a
Service.
version of what we do, but, much bigger and at scale. So they're forward deployed engineers, sort of like the Twitter tech word for, I don't know. We just call ourselves like AI strategists or AI engineers or whatever. But forward deployed engineer is the popular term. So yeah, Microsoft has a $2.5 billion new forward deployed engineering program. A services program they will embed, somebody in your company and help you make custom AI solutions.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the exact thing that we do, which, that's what we're going against, which is fun. A lot of backing.
Well,
But
I actually think this was the thing we were talking about, Brandon, on the prior episode. I think that all of these companies, if they could, they would do it at 10x larger scale, but they simply are unable to. And I think that the demand is roughly 100x what these large companies are able to meet, maybe 1,000x. And so there's just, I mean, I think there's like infinite space. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely
I
think
do
there's
think
infinite space.
I really do think the TAM is not infinite, but the TAM is all businesses.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
depending on where each business is revenue wise and growth rate wise and industry wise, yeah, there might be more low hanging fruit than others, of course. But yeah, I mean, the hardest part for a company like mine is finding the people. It's actually easier for me to find the people that can build the stuff. Because Jack, you were asking me this before we started recording. So how I find AI engineers to hire. So all of our people are in Utah. That's where I'm based. All of our whole team is in Utah. How I find my team is we run hackathons with prizes. Like just 1 day hackathons where 10K goes to the winner and then like 3, 2, 1K and then some like fun random prizes. Okay. Provide them food, starts at 10, ends at 4, judging, announce at 6. We've done it a few times. That's how we hire. We pick and choose these winners who just right in front of our own eyes in the span of 1 day can fully prove, look what I just built end to end that's now working. And then we just choose our favorite ones. And they win, right? But then we say, hey, we would like to hire you. Some we actually say, we would like to hire you, but we're not going to because the thing you just made, you should pursue that as a real business because that thing has legs or it was so unique or innovative or whatever, But the harder person actually to find is somebody that can go into a company and correctly diagnose this is actually what needs to be built and what can be built within your existing systems and workflow and people and based off of our assessment and the interviews we've done, we think this person and this person can own it and champion it internally once we build it, and we can work with them to maintain it on an ongoing basis, and it would work with your Slack and your Google Docs and whatever. Like that's what needs to be built. That's the hardest person to find.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
The person has to be charismatic as well, right?
Yeah, they have to be good at sales.
Relationship.
Yeah,
right.
They have to be killer at sales. They have to know AI really well, and they have to know people really well in the inner workings of the human mind. And they have to know how businesses work and how to not just be good at sales, but how to properly diagnose solutions that make sense. You can't just go in and say, oh, you have a ton of customer service people. Let's just fire your whole department and just use this tool. Like that's not most like CEOs or whatever are not going to be like, oh, sweet. Yeah, I'll just fire 30 people tomorrow. I'm good. Right. That's not how it usually works. So yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah, you have to hire we hire consultants for that.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the consultant.
Yeah.
But they're hard to hire. Yeah,
they're hard to hire. They're hard to find those who are actually great at consulting and sales and who know AI too. And who keep up with the latest in AI since it changes so fast.
And I can imagine if you get the wrong person, everyone's going in the wrong direction. For how long?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How long is everyone going in the wrong direction for? You need the,
Long
that's
time.
interesting. Yeah.
But dude,
Yeah.
this is true for all consultative selling. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The stories I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
it's true for, I mean, dude, you get screwed. Like if you don't have good consultative sellers, you you can get wound around the axle
Well, I
real
can imagine that's
fast.
another piece of this as well. Is like, how do you tell that story? This person has to tell the story to the decision maker in a way that gets them in. If they're like overly technical and long and convoluted, then everyone's dragging their feet. Maybe it never happens. You need somebody who's going to tell the story with enough, excitement that it actually gets started, and not too much excitement that you've turned them off because you sound like you're trying to sell snake oil. There's so many interesting, right? I say charismatic and like they don't torpedo the relationship because they're doing, obviously silly stuff like rolling their eyes when somebody doesn't understand something that, they understand. But it really is like, it's the careful balance of that entire process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we usually start out with like we just call it a paid audit or a fitting or whatever. But that's how we tend to start, is because then what we do is we get access to their P&L. We make that a necessary part of it. And we'll do 10 to 40 interviews, whether if it's in person or video calls. And then we have enough info to be able to accurately assess, what the solution is. Because otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I just don't think anyone can say that they can provide the right solution if they don't have that information. We feel like that's absolutely necessary. Unless I'm selling something off the shelf. If I'm selling a product off the shelf to a specific niche that it was built for, that's different, but that's not what we do.
I can imagine this scope of work, this serving so many different types of businesses is pretty exciting for the scratching the founder's itch as well. I'm not sure about you guys.
Mhm.
I just love starting something new. I love it. I'm like, oh, cool. We're gonna do this, and then just the process actually of building is so fun because of all the second order things. It's like, oh, this just came up, and that's cool, and I'll do this. So yeah, working with a masonry business and then seeing all of this like janky software and how it could be a little bit more efficient, put together, and nicer, right? Just feel nicer to use and feel more intuitive. I imagine that's fun. Like, scratches that itch a little
It's
bit.
fun on that part and then on the AI part, because we kind of get it from both angles, because working with new companies and new projects is super fun. And then working with new tools or new features all the time, like Codex came out with a new like record and replay feature, basically, where for an old school construction software, we could just have the login to it, right? Press record in Codex, mess around with the software, stop, and then say, now build it. It's a little harder than what I just explained, but that's pretty much the process
Oh,
sometimes.
I haven't tried this feature. It
Yeah.
sounds interesting. Yeah, man. It's such a video game. Hey, I'm not sure if you guys have this feeling too when you jump into these tools. It's so much fun to just go, oh, there's this new feature. What does this do? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think, Jack, I think like founders love learning about other businesses, but I think that what founders love doing more than anything else is like, we usually tend to be good at like a small number of things. It's like, I don't know, Brandon, what you would describe yourself to be good at, but I find that most founders are pretty realistic about what they're good at and what they're not good at. And the reason why like founders love learning about other businesses is because they can do the thing that they're good at, then they don't have to do the other things that they're not good. And then the second part of like knowing that about yourself is that for your own business, because you know what you're not good at, you can then do the hiring or the augmentation side. That way the people who are actually good at that thing that you're not good at are the ones doing it instead of you. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
yes, I agree that it's like there are parts that are fun, but I'm not sure that it's actually just fun because it's the beginning. I think it's fun because you can choose to leverage the one thing, the like small number of things that you happen to be good at. At least that's my experience. Like I've rarely met a founder who is well-rounded. They tend to be very spiky. Like it's like there's one or two things that you're just like, oh my God, this person is so good at that thing.
I can agree more. And I
Yeah.
think this is
Yeah.
why, we have so much more in common with the blue collar clients that you're serving at David AI as well. Because these people aren't like your traditional academic. They aren't ready to jump into these tools and use them themselves. They're really good at doing something, and they're also really good at doing it, and like moving and putting one foot in front of the other. And sometimes they make
Mhm.
massive mistakes, huge mistakes. We're always making massive mistakes, expensive ones. But they're moving forward, right? They're doing their best to do it right, and especially the stuff that they're really good at. But it's not I contrast this with the casually contemptuous academic. right? There are some people out there that are like so condescending towards, certain career paths, blue collar work, whatever it happens to be. And I don't know, I imagine the vice versa is true as well. But there is something very like, there's a common thread between people who ship, people who do, who get their hands dirty, roll their sleeves up. And then, and I don't think it's being academically excellent or incredible at everything, right? It's about just like, okay, I'm going to put one foot in front of the
Yeah.
other, figure this out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I feel like I do have some superpowers and then I have some massive, massive weaknesses. And like one of my weaknesses is building the actual technical solution from 0 to 1 in a way that works perfectly. I am not good at that. I have people on my team who that's their thing, but that's not my thing. I love going into the company and figuring out what should be built and what the right strategic solution is, and even architecturally how it should be set up. But once they say, yeah, we're ready, here's our money, build it. Like that's where I stop because I'm done at that point. Not only am I not good anymore at that point, but I also actually don't enjoy that part at all. I hate it. So
Yeah.
I think being willing to admit where you're good and where you're horrible at is key for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would even suggest that, like, just to tie it back to the start, and maybe this is like a thing that's worth leaving listeners with, is like understanding who you should serve in the first place, right? Because like the naive observer would say, oh yeah, he had an agency, he's in the e-com world, he should serve e-com businesses, right? That's the naive observer view. But you were introspective and I shouldn't say introspective. You were deductive enough to see that actually there's these other places where the service is going to produce higher value, and so you're going to serve in these other places that perhaps is non-obvious to the external observer, and then actually build the service offering in those areas, right? And so clearly, actually, the spike is in recognizing that, because again, the outside observer would not have recognized that, right?
Yeah.
And so like to someone else who's like starting to build their own business, like don't allow momentum or what other people think you should be doing and determine what you should do.
Yes.
like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a obvious and simple lesson, but you would be shocked at the number of people who, this is my number one thing for Jacob Posel. He's like, my network is in ecom, so I'm gonna build for ecom first. And I'm like, for the love of God, you've got to branch outside of that, because otherwise you're just going to end up getting consumed by only that input, and it will not allow you to understand what is the full potential for HQ. By the way, HQ is moving past ecom, but the vantage point of, oh, I have this momentum, I have this network, is easy to get blinders on, right? Even for the smartest people. So
Yeah, totally agree.
So yeah, that's the innovator's dilemma. Right?
totally, yeah. Awesome, man. Should we wrap on that?
Yeah, this
Hey,
was
that
good.
was a good ending to me.
We've got so many clips out of this episode. This is going to be a killer episode.